So, hey guys, welcome to New Comic Book Wednesday, and today, before I start my review, I did pick up, DC Universe Online Legends, and I just wanted to show you the cover before I get into the other comics. Because, I'm not going to be reviewing this comic until, the last issue will be coming out. So this is the second to last issue, but I really like this cover. If you can see here, if I, put this way back, you can actually see a bunch of DC Universe characters, charging ahead to fight Brainiac in the final battle. Now, what I like about this cover is that, you see Lex Luthor in his mech suit with a Green Lantern ring, and he has a Green Lantern symbol right on his chest. We see the Flash here with Beast Boy, and if you look closely, you can actually see Cyborg right there. Sorry if you guys can't see him because of the glare, and there's Stargirl, we have Wonder Girl, Dr. Fate, even the awesome Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle, and maybe you guys might be looking at something about Wonder Woman, but yeah, that's Wonder Woman there. We have Captain Marvel, who is being covered by the title of the comic, which is kind of sad, or kind of rude. We see Superman here, we see Firestorm, Superboy, Plastic Man, Batman in his armor suit. Speaking of Batman, we have his trusty sidekick, Dick Grayson, or Nightwing. We have Green Arrow right there, if you can see him. We have Zatanna. We have Catwoman right there, right next to Batman. And we have Supergirl. You can see her right there. There's tons and tons of, DC Universe, heroes in this cover. And I can't count them all, or I can't name them all, but this is just awesome because there is going to be an all-out battle between, the DC Universe superheroes versus Brainiac and his robotic army, which is pretty cool. And I'm excited to read it to see how it's going to end soon because we only have one more issue left before it ends. Now, I did pick up, of course, Batman Detective Comics issue number 7, which I will be reviewing, second, because I am going to review, of course, Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 8. We had Ultimate Spider-Man come out, 2 weeks ago, but that was released a week late, so I guess we're, trying to rush up here and, get back to original format. So we have a new Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 8 here. And there is another free digital copy of this comic. So whoever wants to, get the free digital copy of this comic, please message me or comment below. Like I said, first person who, messages me or comments below and wants this, code or digital copy, just, let me know and I'll give it to you. So I'm sorry to those guys who are going to ask me, later on, if somebody has a code. I'm sorry. I apologize if you don't get the code, but yes. We are going to review Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 8 first. Now, in the last issue, all we saw was basically Miles Morales trying to, hone his, new Spider-Man skills, and he fights Omega Red, and we find out that basically the Prowler, or aka, Miles' uncle, finds out that in the end, he knows that Miles Morales is the new Spider-Man. He pays him a visit at school. Now, we open up with Aunt May and Gwen Stacy. They are in Paris and they're living there for now. Because, like in the last couple of issues, they wanted to start a new life till they moved away after Peter's death and Peter's funeral. So, Gwen Stacy and, Aunt May are having coffee together. But what, peaks to, Aunt May's interest is that she notices that a person's reading a newspaper, and on the cover of the newspaper it says Spider-Man in French. And, she goes up to the person, takes their newspaper, and she asks, what does it say? What does it say? What does it say? What does it mean? And they're like, new Spider-Man, and then her face is in shock. Ooh, what's going on here? But we don't really get much of that besides, Aunt May in shock that there's a new Spider-Man out there. After that, we see, where issue number 5 left off. We see Miles and Genki and his, Miles' uncle outside. And, Miles tells Genki, go back to the room. It's between me and my uncle. We gotta talk, or, I gotta deal with this on my own, so please go back. And I'll talk to you about it later. So Miles' uncle, sleazes on by and tells him, I know who you are. You're Spider-Man. I brought the spider home. It bit you. It gave you spider powers. And you're the new Spider-Man. I know you. You are. Yeah, I know that, And, he comes off as, like I said, we don't know what Miles' uncle's, plan is for, Miles himself, because really, what is his uncle going to get out of this? Is he going to use Miles as, you know, the new Spider-Man to, you know, his full extent, or, make him do things that, Miles doesn't want to do? Or will he be like a mentor to Miles, as someone, mentioned in the comments section of the last issue, that maybe he can be a mentor to him? But to me, he came off as he wanted to use him in a way because of how he talked to him. He said, yeah, you didn't tell your dad, did you? You told me first, because if your dad knew, you'd drop dead, So, me and you, we can work things out. We can get the word out, me and you working together. So, he sounds sort of mentorish, but he sounds like he sort of wants to use Miles at the same time, because remember, he's not a potential villain, but he is sort of like, a criminal, a crook. So, we don't know what really he is, his intentions is for Miles, but just speculate for now. So, after seeing that happen, his uncle gets kicked out of school, and Miles goes back to his room. But after that, we get to see Miles' dad at his job. And what does his dad work for? He is a police officer. Now, that sparks an interest there. His dad's a police officer, and he's about to interrogate this guy named Kangaroo, who used to be basically a mobster, a kingpin, but now he's basically shit. And, his father's trying to get information about, who is this Spider-Man? Tell me, who is this Spider-Man? Tell me about the new Spider-Man. You gotta know who he is, because, everybody in Underground should be able to know this by now. So he wants to learn more about Spider-Man. He's trying to get information from him. So who knows what's going to happen next? But yeah, after that, we see, these couple mobsters, playing cards. But we see, Scorpion, who was from Mexico, one of those Mexican mobsters. He comes out and, he wants to find, where the Prowler is. He wants to take care of the Prowler. He wants to kill him. And he goes up to these mobsters and he kills all of them. And he takes over. He becomes a new kingpin, or he becomes a new, big guy in the whole Underground universe for now. But yeah, after that, Miles is pretty upset. He's upset at the fact that, his uncle confronted him, and, he doesn't know what his uncle wants. He thinks his uncle's going to blackmail him, so he's a bit upset at the moment. So, what's he going to do? What was he going to do to relieve stress? He's Spider-Man, so he goes out and fights crime. He's pretty, upset, so he goes out, and later on he finds this guy called I think the Ring, and, he fights him. And what happens is, they fight together, and he gets caught in his rings, and he can escape, but he knocks him out with a kick, and the police, come, and what happens is that his father comes out and he says, I need to have a word with the new Spider-Man. Now, I really sort of did like this issue. A lot of people have their problems with Ultimate Spider-Man right now, saying that it's too slow and whatnot, and I have to admit that it is interesting where the parts where, you have other Spider-Man characters involved in the comic, like Electro, the Avengers, and you have Spider-Girl or Spider-Woman, and you have Mary Jane and like Gwen Stacy and like Aunt May in the issue, which was pretty interesting at those points in Ultimate Spider-Man, and then sometimes it fell back slow paced after those characters are gone and it's just Miles himself. Now what I have to say is that yes, it is slow. I have to admit, it is a slow comic, and the reason why is because, we gotta get time to adjust to Miles. I mean, we have to learn his morals, his way of thinking as, the new Spider-Man. And we have to just, adjust to him being the new Spider-Man. I mean, yes, we are introduced to him in the first issue, of course, but it's just the fact that, we have to adjust to his, personality-wise. We gotta get to know his character, and his character still isn't that fleshed out yet to me. To me, his character isn't fleshed out, but it's still a good comic book series, in my opinion, I still personally like the issue, this issue in general, because we see a lot of things happen. We see Miles' uncle confront him. Now, we don't really intentionally know his intentions. He could be a mentor. He could be using Miles. We don't know. And so goes with his father. His father is a police officer. That it's the reason why he hates, superheroes in general is because, he's a police officer. And normally in comic books, we see police officers like, Commissioner Gordon before, he met Batman or before they became friends. He always thought that, let the police do their job, Who needs these, vigilantes? Who needs these superheroes? We are police officers. What are we here for, And that sort of brings that up in this comic, like, Miles' dad's a police officer. That's maybe sort of why he feels negative towards superheroes, because he's a police officer. He's got to do his job. You can't always have these superheroes doing the job for him, But, we have to understand both from the superhero side and, police officer side of the story. But that's something else. And for him to say, I need to talk to a new Spider-Man, I'm going to speculate that he doesn't really know Miles' identity yet, because of course he's only been Spider-Man for 5 freaking days, only 5 days, and this kangaroo guy, he doesn't know his secret identity, so he can't really base off the facts of who the new Spider-Man is, and maybe his father might, get an idea that Miles could be the new Spider-Man, but we don't know that yet. I'm just saying, speculating wise, that he probably doesn't know that, Miles is, Spider-Man. And also saying that what he has to talk about with him is that, he has a bone to pick with superheroes. So, of course, he has to say something to Spider-Man. Either being that he knows Miles' secret identity and he wants to talk to him about it, or either way, he wants to talk to him about, protecting the city, protecting New York. But either that, we see Scorpion, coming up and being the new big man of this whole mobster gang and whatnot. So he's taking over. Issues, really great. I sort of still like Ultimate Spider-Man. Like I said, people got to give it a chance. I mean, people did give it a chance, and people said, it's slow, sucks, not that good. But I still think it's pretty good. I would say stick to it, because sooner or later, like I said, there's going to be a lot of drama, because Aunt May and Gwen Stacy just finds out that, there's a new Spider-Man, so they might be coming back to New York to see who this new Spider-Man is and maybe give him some support. And we still have not seen a lot of display of Miles' abilities besides, using his invincibility, his, paralysis punch or paralysis touch. We still haven't seen the web shooters. Now, I did speculate that the web shooters could come from Genki, but someone also mentioned that the web shooters could come from the Prowler as a gift, or from Nick Fury. Now, it would, like I said, I would be interested to see Genki play a part in this, because he's, Miles' best friend. I would like to see him actually build him a prototype web shooter out of Legos. I don't care. I want to see him play a big role into, Miles' life, because, as we all know, Peter had Gwen Stacy and Mary Jane and Aunt May. Miles needs some people to be there around with him, especially Genki or his father or his mother, somebody, yeah. I really like Ultimate Spider-Man right now. I highly recommend you guys picking this issue up. And yeah, next review is of Detective Comics. So see you guys later.